Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
All day.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. You'll get fucking thrown out by Big Tony.
We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Don't blow it. Keep it simple. Count your money.
Oh, whatever it is.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. This is episode 49 with Danielle Drop Bear Curtis. You read that in the title though, so I'll give you a quick rundown on the episode. Danielle is an MMA fighter that I've known for a few years now, and we get into that more in the episode. But we just talk about combat sports in general, some of the effects of weight cutting, and also transgender competitors fighting in female categories. So some really good back and forth here, and some really good content. So I hope you guys enjoy listening to this one as much as I enjoyed recording it. So there's no dates coming up at the moment. Obviously, with the current lockdowns, we'll sort of play it by ear when it comes to upcoming gigs. But as soon as they're out, you'll be able to check them out on my social media, which is Marky Worthington Comedy on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also check me out on Marky Comedy on Twitter. But yeah, that's where I post all my main stuff. So go check me out. Make sure you give Danielle a follow as well, and enjoy the episode. Cheers.
I love that it's the Marky Worthington podcast with Marky Worthington.
Hey, welcome to the episode. You heard the intro before this, so you know what number we're up to and everything like that. But special guest on the show, first time ever that I've had an MMA fighter on the show. How you doing? Welcome yourself to the show, and say good day to the people listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle Drop Bear Curtis. Drop Bear is my fight moniker, which is your fight nickname. I live in Newcastle, Australia. I love all things combat sports, so not just MMA, but boxing, Muay Thai, K1, kickboxing, all of those kind of things. Love the outdoors and my two Rottweilers.
Holy shit, that's I realised from the intro.
And gaming.
And gaming, there we go. You can tell by the setup behind me I'm like the gaming guy as well as this. But
and music, I guess that's the other thing too. That's how we met, right?
Yeah, that's true. I like how the intro to this, I just instantly threw you in the spotlight. Like even comedians get a better intro to that when you're walking out on stage.
I get a better intro when I turn up to a fight.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I should just re-record an intro that's just like some crazy, sort of like the intro that Drederick Tatum gets in the intro at the start of The Simpsons when he's like walking out to knock 3 shades of shit out of Homer.
That or like you need to look up the old Pride lady that does the introductions for all the fighters that will walk out in the Pride era or championship. Yeah, she's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, I do. I did actually talk about when in my last episode when someone's on stage and they're just getting the shit kicked out of them verbally. You feel like Mo in that episode. You want to come in as the fan man and just airlift them out. Yeah. Because it's like your buddy is just copping, he's just eating balls on stage, and he's even trying his old material, which he knows works, and they're just and I'm only saying because
turned against you by that stage.
Yeah, you're fucked.
You're done.
The thing is, I'm only saying he because every time it's ever happened, it's been a bloke that I'm mates with. Because yeah, it's happened as an MC. Sometimes you'll be like, "Hey, welcome!" You'll get everyone hyped up. This dude's performed in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. He's blah blah blah. I'm a hype man when it comes to comedy, but I feel like I'm just behind the scenes when it comes to anything else. It's the only thing I'm actually confident.
Because you feel comfortable.
Yeah, true. But when I was talking about you know, being on stage and like when I'm on stage and I'm like the crowd's not into it and stuff, is there like a vibe when you're coming out? Do you have like certain like energy when you're entering for a fight? Is it different?
Good question. I think it depends on the kind of person you are. Some people really feed off of the crowd and they take their time when they're walking out and they look at the crowd and they interact with people, and some people are so laser focused and they don't even look at the crowd. They just walk up, they, you know, get patted down and they get the Vaso on and they get in the cage and then they spend the time in the cage either pacing or just standing there staring at their opponent. I'm probably the opposite of that one. I'm the person that when I walk out, I'm singing along to my music, I'm looking at my friends in the crowd, and I'm, you know, point at the commentators or the camera. Like, I'm just having fun, and I perform the best when I'm having fun.
Yep.
But at the same time too, I only really pay attention to the people that I want to pay attention to. So like my first ever MMA fight, it was like an away fight. So I fought my opponent, who was undefeated at the time. She was like 2-0 or 3-0, and she'd finished everyone in the first round. So she had a couple of fights.
Yep.
And it was in her hometown. It was her coach's actual fight promotion that we were fighting on. The entire like building was full of people from her hometown. And and I just had my mum and like a couple of friends.
Holy shit.
You know, I didn't care. I was having the best time of my life. I'm looking at my friends, you know, and my mum who's screaming her head off, and just like looking at the people where I've got to go and the cage, and singing along to my walkout song and whatever, get in the cage, and then I'm just like chilling in the cage.
Chilling, yeah.
I think I even sort of danced along to whatever her walkout song was. I'm just looking at the guy in the middle, getting ready for him to introduce me and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of depends on what kind of fighter you are, and also like what you choose to pay attention to. Some people don't see anything or remember any of that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Once you start fighting, the bell rings or the ref goes, yep, start. Literally nothing else exists. So the whole place could be on fire.
Yeah.
The cage could just about be on fire and I would not know. I barely know the referees there, other than when he's sort of jumping in between. Or if you're at the point where you're hitting someone heaps that you're looking at them like,
yeah,
come on. But other than that, it's like you don't see anything else.
That's insane.
So the crowd could be booing me and I wouldn't know.
Wow. It's like, I feel like that to me is like the difference in my mind between, when I keep like likening it to going out in front of a crowd for comedy, as far as like the crowd goes. I'm not about to say it's like I'm fighting the crowd. Yeah, a crowd's a crowd. But at the same time, it's like when the first few times that people go out to do comedy, they've said to me like, I didn't even notice whether anyone was laughing. I was just saying my jokes, like just rehearsing them, and like wasn't like, some people will just go out and they just like smash out what they know their first 5 minutes and they're just like, cool, that's done. And like I feel like the first time ever going out to like a crowd is finding that vibe off them. And you're saying like going out for the first time fighting someone that the crowd is like, the vibe seems more like towards them. Did you notice like after the fight, what was the result of that fight, by the way?
I won by TKO. So
fuck yeah.
Yeah, it was a great night for me, and like I did a lot of damage to my opponent too, so it wasn't like it was just over super quick. It happened about like, I think it was 28 seconds or something into the second round, so we'd had a whole first round, and I did do a fair bit of damage to my opponent in the first round. It was close to sort of getting stopped, and she was very tough. And the one thing, like when you watch it back, and I kind of knew that that's how it went, and the one bit that I heard from the crowd was, there's a point in how the fight ended is I punched her and hit her and kicked her and kneed her or whatever a lot. And so she's clinched up with me and we're against the cage. And I could feel her sort of grabbing kind of like a headlocky kind of thing. But basically she's grabbing around the top of my body and she's going to look to try and hip toss me to take me down. And I could feel that that's what she was trying to do. So what I thought I was going to do was I'm going to like push off as she goes to throw me, so it like overshoots and we both kind of, no one sort of ends up on top.
Yeah.
And it'll just be a scramble because I'm like, I can win this scramble, and I know I've already hurt her, and it's all good. But as she's going to throw me and I've pushed off, in the moment I've actually reversed it and put a hook in, and so she's thrown me and I've ended up, and then I've reversed it, and then so I've ended up on top, and then I've just punched her a few times, and the ref stopped it straight away, and her corner actually threw in the towel as well because I'd already hurt her quite a fair bit. That was the one moment I do sort of recall a little bit, is that you could hear the crowd because I had dominated that fight. When she hip tosses me, you hear the crowd go like, "Ah, yeah," and then it's like, and then I reverse it immediately, and it goes from all like, "Oh yeah, oh
yeah, holy shit, that's fucking insane."
Yeah, and so it's kind of like a really cool way to finish my first fight. Like I would consider that's a really cool highlight reel. And it's not sort of something that commonly happens either. And she was really lovely, and we went and had drinks at the pub together later. And it was great. But you wonder what it's going to be like hanging out for the rest of the fights in the crowd when the crowd, I guess, was against you. But when you put on a good fight and stuff, and you get on the mic and you thank your opponent and that kind of stuff, that's who I am. I don't hate any of my opponents. I don't need to hate them to fight them, because it doesn't come from a place I need to hate them to hurt them. I just want to win. I'm just competitive. So if it ever came down to it, I'd even happily fight someone that I'm friends with or that I've trained with, or even that was from the same gym for me, only if there was a reason to fight them. Like if one of us is going to end up with a contract for the UFC, then sure, I'll fight my best friend, because one of us is going to get that. Don't have any issues. So I do remember that moment, and the crowd was awesome. When I was getting around, people from that town were asking for photos with me and stuff. I got photos with my opponent. Like I said, went to the pub with her. It was great, and I had a great time, and I had heaps of people from that show follow me and be like, "I remember you from your first ever fight," and even people that were friends and cheering for my opponent. So that was really cool. But there is one thing that's how you said when you first go out, when you do comedy, how you just read your or whatever, you're not necessarily waiting to hear or able to hear the crowd. For me as a fighter, I have that, but it's not about the crowd. It was about listening or hearing my coaches. For my first 3 fights, I never heard a word they said. And they're screaming and they're banging their hands on the outside of the cage. And I remember sort of maybe 1 or 2 things from, I think, my second or third fight. But I didn't hear them at all, and which was really funny. After my first fight, people were like, "Oh my god, you listened to your coaches and did exactly what they said." I was like, "What? Really?" I didn't hear them at all, not one bit. But I just did what we had worked and drilled. So I guess it was the same thing that they were saying, or it's really interesting, and I had to learn to actively, while I'm fighting, try and listen for their instructions. And pick their voice out of the crowd.
No, that's really interesting. There's I don't really have a lot recently to relate with MMA. I love how I'm trying to turn this into a story about me and me doing karate as an 8-year-old, but
I love it.
Yeah, that's my claim to fame there. So so
What belt did you get to?
I got to brown, to second, so fourth Q brown. Yeah, you're looking at him. Anyway, so.
Go on.
Yeah, the martial arts system, how it's just like, the one that I was with was actually really good, but I since then have, like, as an adult, tried to go to a couple of, like, trad MA schools, and they're like, hey, you get a yellow belt after you've been here for a week. Like, here you go, dude. Thanks for paying for the year. Yeah. Hey, if you sign up for a year, we give you green straight away. Like, and it's...
The last gym I was at, we'd be there on like a weekend, doing training and sparring, and like the fight teams doing advanced stuff and whatever. And we're all like white and blue belts in Jiu Jitsu because with Jiu Jitsu it does have belts, but it's not like those other ones like karate and taekwondo and that kind of stuff. Like if you're under 16. Or under 18, until you become 16, that's the only time that you can become a blue belt, which in Jiu-Jitsu it goes white, blue, purple, brown, black.
Yep.
And they have a separate kids ranking, like kids belt. So they're like yellow, orange, grey, yellow, orange. So they've got their own. They actually can't get a blue belt, and they're not allowed to compete against adults until a certain age level.
Yeah.
And so we had a good laugh because we're all in there, white and blue belts, and these little kids were coming in doing some like MMA class, sort of grappling, BJJ, and I'm talking, like 6 to 10, maybe 4 to 10 years old, and there's this tiny kid and he's got a taekwondo outfit on and he's got a black belt, and we all just had a little giggle to ourselves like, oi, we've got a black belt in the gym. Can you feel that? He's gonna kick our asses.
Holy shit. Oh man, yeah. So the school I was with was actually fairly good, but yeah, we've seen some since then. It's just been dodgy, like when it comes to assigning belts and stuff. But having said,
make money, people will keep coming.
Yeah, and the problem is the ones that are like honest don't tend to make as much money, so they don't thrive as much. Now the one I was with is still going, it's like strong, but that's because they have been doing it for so long, and they actually like, and also they've evolved with time. Like it was only like back then it was like boxing and kickboxing and traditional martial arts, and they used to do BJJ as well, but it was like not as common, whereas now they've branched out to do like MMA and like all that other stuff as well, and they got a cage, and like they've like evolved over the time. But anyway, but the cool thing was some of the instructors there were instructors from when they used to do like full contact sparring with like the ski mitts and a mouth guard. That was it.
Yes.
And
old school coaches.
Yeah, so they would like hire, this is like back in the 80s, they would hire out like a basketball court with like the wooden floors, and you'd rock up, put your name in a hat, and you would have to like just fight whoever you got. There was no like divisions or anything. It was like fight club shit. One of the dudes was telling me, he's like, man, we all go in there one afternoon for a tournament, and we walk in and there's this dude just doing high turning kicks, and he's kicking the net on the basketball.
Jeez.
Yeah, like he's jumping and doing kicks, or like just showing off basically. He was warming up, but he was just flexing in front of everybody.
Love it.
So the trainer I was talking to about, he says I go in there, and obviously this is going to be a good story about him, because he wouldn't be telling it if it was how he got his ass kicked by the dude that was showing off in front of everybody. But yeah, basically he said like that adrenaline rush that you were talking about, that you just like the tunnel vision, like anything else could be happening. He's like, yeah, of course the first name I pull out is old mate kicking the basketball net. So he said he was so tall, I had to, because he was shorter. And he said it was so tall, I was like, I wanted to try and like land a punch on his face like instantly to try and get like in his head, like just be, you know, like the first thing I'm gonna do is just prove to you that like I don't care, and like make it like a psychological fight after that, you know. He said he goes to he's sort of like comes in hot and doesn't realize that because he's so tall he can't even like reach this guy's face. So he backs up and runs and jumps and just gets past his guard and lands it on the dude's face, knocks him out instantly.
That's amazing.
So yeah, there you go. There's my Fight Club story for you.
well, I think you get kicked out of Fight Club talking about it.
Good reference. Yeah, damn. Good thing I wasn't in it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's like it's got a good 30 years on me, that Fight Club. But yeah. Anyway, that's me trying to make myself relatable in a.
I love the psychological war. Yeah. Fight. People ask me that all the time because I smile when I fight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Are you doing that on purpose? No, I just really like fighting.
That's awesome. So I actually had a question about you already covered off. Someone asked what belt you were in BJJ.
Oh, in Jiu Jitsu.
In Jiu Jitsu, yeah.
Yeah. I'm a blue belt.
Yeah, cool. They didn't just say what belt are you. They were just like, if they do have, what belt is it? Yeah. It wasn't just like a straight up like, what belt are you?
Size 12. No, I got my blue belt from Jamie Ballard because I've predominantly done only no-gi, and so a lot of places don't give out rankings if you only do no-gi. Because obviously belts, you only need a belt if you have a gi. So if you're not wearing the gi, you don't particularly need a belt, but we still got ranked even though we're no-gi. So some places do that, like obviously Eddie Bravo does, so Planet, that kind of stuff. So it is coming in a lot more, especially gyms that no-gi orientated or like MMA orientated. So yeah, I mean, I predominantly I think I've worn a gi like maybe twice in the last 3 or 4 years. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't train gi really.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So like that's there's two sort of main ways of looking at it, just for like listeners and that might not be completely aware of how that works. So there's like gi and no gi styles, or in specifically in BJJ, so in Jiu Jitsu. So there's gi, which is the kimono looking the bathrobe. And no gi is obviously where you see us getting around in like rash guards and shorts or spats. Tights, those kind of things. But within competing in grappling, there's also different rule sets. So even if you just say gi or no gi, so you can compete in either. But then there's competitions which are points based, and the points are awarded off of position. Obviously, if you submit someone, then the match is over. Awesome, you win. But other than that, there's a time limit, and you have however many points, and the points are for like positions like getting to the back or getting to mount, passing their guard, taking them down, sweeps, those kind of things.
And then there's the types where it's a sub only. So you either then in sub only, you've got to win by submitting them. But within that, you have two different versions where you have a no time limit. Some matches can be no time limit, so you literally can only win by subbing someone.
Yep. Okay.
But majority of matches will be like, say, 5 minutes. And so how you win if it goes to decision is based on who's attempting the most submissions and is actively looking to try and finish the match. And then you have like ADCC, which is one of the biggest no-gi grappling tournaments in the world. And it's actually half-half. So the first half of the match is no points, sub only, and the second half of the match is points. So there's different things. So like depending what you want to compete in, so you can compete in all of them, but like when you've got a particular comp coming up, you probably change the way that you are training for that, because there's a different emphasis on what you need to do and what your opponent's probably going to be doing. Because like with points, there's a lot of people who are point fighters or point players, and they literally just want to get those positions and rack up points. They don't care about risking the position for a sub in case you get out.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas sub only, they've got to go for the sub, which does give you those avenues to potentially escape or reverse or whatever. So
yeah. Okay.
there's heaps of different things. And then obviously you've got wrestling as well, so wrestling competitions, and that's sort of different again. And then if you're training for an MMA fight, you're gonna place being on top and being able to also strike and make sure that while you're grappling you're not going to get hit. So again, that's even different again in how you train it. So it depends what you've got coming up, and I like compete in all of those things. So it's about knowing what you're going to go and compete in, and how to just change and tweak your training and what the focus is for the specific thing that you want to compete in.
Yeah, that covers off a lot of the questions. Actually, there was a few questions about like styles and like do you train like BJJ, gi, no gi, that sort of stuff. So you basically covered off a lot of questions there in that block.
I also really love wrestling. So, I mean, I think wrestling is really, really important for MMA, and it'll actually make your Jiu Jitsu a lot better. Yeah, because they're kind of similar but really different at the same time as well, because Jiu Jitsu is about sort of going with the flow and taking what they give you and using it against them, whereas like wrestling's about imposing your will and forcing them. And so like you can find times where both are useful. Yeah, it's really interesting. And then obviously I do striking and stuff as well, so a lot of striking, and I again compete in different disciplines in that as well. So I've also fought in Muay Thai and Muay Thai, and then I was looking for some boxing fights at one stage as well, but I couldn't get a match, which seems to be a common problem for me. But yeah, so I'm happy. I just compete in everything. I just love combat sports and fighting, so
yeah,
happy to do anything really.
That's good. It's what you're saying about mixing it up. It's a bit like when you switch to like dumbbells from a barbell at the gym, and you go back to the bar and you're just like putting up more weight because you like tried a different technique or style, and then you come back and you're like, oh, I mixed it up and now I've like, trained a different muscle, I guess. It'd be the same. Yeah, I mean, even if your goal's always to get a better bench, but you will do it, accessory work, or you'll do, supersetting with some other exercise, or like you said, dumbbells or whatever, but it's still always going to make you better at your bench. And that's how I feel about constantly competing rather than sitting around and just waiting for MMA fights. Well, I'm going to go and compete in those other disciplines. No, but you have to be at a level where you know the difference, because there's a lot, they aren't the same. There's a lot of differences, and having an MMA fight style and not adjusting anything going into a boxing fight will get you hurt. Yeah. Muay Thai. Knowing what you need to change, so you have to have that level of skill and understanding
to be able to just jump between them. But at the same time, going and doing those things, as long as you do understand that when you come back to MMA after doing a boxing fight, that you can't, be ducking your head because you're going to get head kicked or kneed in the face. As long as you understand those things, going and having a boxing fight and against a boxer is going to make you a better boxer, or like better with your hands, and you can take that back to MMA because you're competing against the people that are good at that one particular thing. So you're going to test yourself against someone who's like very good at that one thing, and then obviously it comes back to your ability to put it all back together to take it back to MMA. But yeah, I mean, as long as you're competing and being active, you're always going to get better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're talking about sort of still training, although it might not be in MMA. What sort of exercise and training are you doing at the moment, being in lockdown?
Whatever I can do.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to stay active and essentially not get fat and too out of shape. I never invested enough money in my own home gym setup, which I am going to do. And I'm definitely going to fix that. But yeah, like home workouts and shadow boxing, and obviously it's a really good time to work on the stuff that a lot of people lack, which is, like mobility, a little bit of flexibility, but mostly mobility, and like rehab, and just, making sure, I guess this is a great time to recover and probably do things that I haven't done, where I like let those injuries that I've just pushed through and managed actually do like rehab or prehab on it. So those kind of things, and then also like your goal setting and your visualization, all of that kind of stuff that you normally, you do, but you probably don't have as much time for. And then obviously I'm just doing like workouts, so like strength and conditioning, walking my dogs all the time because I can get out of the house, and they're just beautiful and I love them. And lots of skipping and lifting stuff.
That's I feel like everybody became a fucking home gym expert as soon as everything shut. Like, the amount of dudes I see that I'm like mates with, you just see like them just randomly throwing fucking tires around in their backyard and stuff, like just
and
trying
the cost of home gym stuff went through the roof.
And everybody that I was like looking at that had home gym stuff, that I'm like, dude, look how much room that takes up and how much money you spent on it, and now they're laughing. But you mentioned before, like, so there was, in case people didn't realize how I just sandwiched that question in there was actually a question about like training during lockdown. So I mean, if it didn't seem like I just organically put that in there, I'm going to show you behind the curtain how much I intentively did that. So yeah, in case I got away with it, I need to now tell everybody that I did that on purpose.
If anyone's actually like wanting to find some other motivation and that kind of stuff too, there's so many different pages on social media at the moment, like Instagram, Facebook, all of that kind of stuff, of personal trainers or qualified coaches and stuff that are running like online sessions, paid or free. A lot of people are putting out free content. So I mean, like that's the other thing too. I've been supporting businesses that support me and people that I've sort of been a part of my journey with strength and conditioning or training and that kind of stuff as well. So they're all putting out heaps of cool content. So
yeah, awesome. That's so good. That
without any equipment. So
that's also good because it deflects people to actually look up the professionals instead of listening to me talking about throwing tires around in your backyard. Totally covers me. If anyone's come here for my advice on anything, you're in the wrong place. Like, if you're watching this podcast, you also have the internet. Look up a fucking professional and don't listen to my bullshit.
you know, or do it at your own, I guess, need the word there, do it at your own discretion. You know?
Yeah.
Disclaimer, if you follow my advice, it is not my fault. Something bad happens.
I feel like that should just be the fucking rule for life. If you do anything, take ownership of your own bullshit. But yeah, you mentioned like before.
100%.
Oh, actually, something that I wanted to bring up from the start of the podcast. You spoke about your first fight causing a lot of damage. That's a fucking mad way to put it. But let's just talk about that for a second. What's it like when you're fighting someone and you can just see them getting open up? Is there like a mental part?
Getting open up?
Well, two things. Like, there's probably two parts to this question, because we're talking about the mental, like the head game of a fight and that sort of thing. Do you find that like at first may affect you or still affects you when you see like the damage you're doing? But also the second part is the damage on yourself, like when you know that you're hurt.
Cool. Great question. You know when you've hurt someone, and also it is so satisfying. And I'm not okay, so I do MMA and stuff, but I'm not a angry or violent person.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been in a fight outside of like a sanctioned actual fight with another person that's trained for a very long time. I've literally never been in a fight outside of an actual cage or ring or training. But it is so satisfying being able to put into action what you've trained. So being able to, because when you spar and stuff too, you're not trying to hit your training partners as hard as you can. Yeah, you'll hit the bag as hard as you can and you'll hit pads, but that's not a real person. So it's not a real test of your skill to see how you actually get in. And because a person moves and they try and hit you back and they defend. So being able to land something flush and really hard is so satisfying.
Yeah.
You know when you've hurt someone, and yeah, when you see them open up and stuff, it's so weird though. Like I said before about how, I mean, you're so zoned in and focused on that person and what you're doing because you're fighting for your life and you've got adrenaline happening and, you know, you've got that tunnel vision though. It doesn't register like if I did that in the street or something, you know, if someone lunged at me and I hit them and that opened them up, even as a self-defense thing, I'd be like, holy crap, I've hurt that person. Yeah. But it's so different in the cage because that's what you're there to do. And it's like, I can see that as a sign of I'm winning. Yeah. So you need to think of it in a different frame of mind because it is a different frame of mind. They're also a trained person who's going to do that to you if you don't do it to them. And realistically, the injuries that I've gotten from MMA generally, you know, haven't been that bad. Most of my worst injuries in life have been from like netball, touch footy, like those kind of things. Obviously, when your nose bleeds or you get a cut, so I've had a nice cut here below my eyebrow, which required stitches, just blood, a little bit of scar tissue, which you break up, like it wasn't really that bad. Yeah. The worst things for me are injuries that have happened in training, not even fights. But you know also when you get hit, and adrenaline's this amazing thing. You can get punched so hard and you are aware that your body is not responding to it and you feel the pressure, but it's not exactly pain like what it would be if you weren't in that fight aspect. So I think of it like if you go to the dentist and you got to get something done and they give you like anesthetic or like, you know, you're going to get, I don't know, stitches and they give you anesthetic, whatever it is. When they give you anesthetic, you don't feel pain, but you feel the pinch or you feel the pressure or you feel, you know, you feel the action but you don't feel the actual pain. That's what I would say it's like. So you can feel that your brain's not right if you get rocked. You're like, oh, okay, that one got me, but it's not a hurt. The bit where it hurts is like if you've eaten some leg kicks and you sit down between rounds and you've had that minute where you're coming back down and you're like trying to listen to your coach and take it all in, and then you go to stand back up and you're like, yeah, actually that did hurt. I had a moment actually like that in my Muay Thai fight where my opponent kept teeping me, which is front kicking, but she kept teeping too low. And it was right on the pelvic bone, right on the tip of the pelvic bone, probably like 4 times in a row in like a 2-minute round. And I was so angry. She wasn't intentionally doing it. It was just that like she wasn't fast enough, and I don't know, maybe flexible enough, or like I was coming in too quick, so she wasn't getting her leg up high
all the way.
To get me in the stomach area, and it was just constantly and so like in between rounds, I like in the fight I knew she was doing it, but it wasn't impacting me. And as soon as I walked over to my corner, I was like, and you know, take a breath, I was like, that actually really hurts. And I was like, she keeps teaming me.
Fuck.
And I was so angry in my corners because you've only got a minute, but by the time you walk over there and they get in there, and then the time it takes them to get it out, like you've only really got like 30 seconds. And so they're like, I know, who cares, hit her with it. And I'm like, what are you saying? They're like trying to like get my attention to be like, this is what I need you to do, everything's going good. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's also interesting. But it's definitely a thrill when you hurt your opponent.
It's like a physical
not because you're trying to hurt them, but you're winning.
It's like exactly like you said, it's like a physical representation of your training.
And I think that's the most satisfying thing, is that like you can be really good in the gym. So like there's always people that are like killers in the gym, but they just can't put it together in the cage. And then you've got people that are the opposite, that don't really stand out in training or anything, but when they're in the cage and it's like the switch, you know, they flip the switch and they're just animals. And then you've got the people that are just good all the time or not so good. But it's really that self-gratification of being like, well, I have trained that, and to land the thing that I've actually trained means that I've gotten better. And because you know it's a skilled opponent. It's not like other sports where you go, oh, I want to learn to play soccer, and they go, cool, turn up on Sunday and we'll show you how to play, and you can jump straight in. Like you can't do that in combat sports. They won't allow you. So you know, you'll probably train for at least a year. You may do less if you're only doing a single discipline, but in MMA most people train for a year, 2 years, sometimes even more before they have their first fight. So you know, you're not rocking up against someone who's got no experience.
It's like you're saying about like you only fight against people that have trained and like know that are in the same sort of space as you when it comes to the like respect, I guess.
Absolutely.
So
you get better fights when you match people with similar abilities and experience.
Yeah, true. That that makes sense to look at it from like weight class and that sort of thing. Like we mentioned before about different levels of skill and styles. And one of the questions that we had come through is, what weight class do you regularly fight in?
So I had been fighting a lot, predominantly in my MMA career at featherweight, but I was getting too small for that one, really. So I'm actually fighting from now on at bantamweight, which is 135 pounds, or in kilos is 61.2, and featherweight was 65.8. So in MMA, it obviously has quite a big jump between them, so it's taken a little while to get to the point where I can comfortably say, that's it. I'm a bantamweight now. So,
Yeah. So what's have you had
The other fight styles though are different.
Oh, right, yeah, I'm just like jumping in. We're talking about weight classes and also something that we wanted to chat about was cutting weight. Have you ever experienced like having to cut or gain weight for a fight?
Yes. So, like, pretty much every fight doing some form of like weight cutting, which is, you know, obviously a number of things, diet, you know, planning and training and all of those things to bring down your weight throughout fight camp, so the period before a fight. But carb loading, salt loading, water loading, and obviously getting rid of sugars, salt, carbs, and essentially dehydration, as well as a low fiber or low residue diet in the last little stint as well, just to remove some dead weight, because fiber sits as dead weight in the bottom of your stomach because it takes a long time to break down. So low fiber, but yeah, water loading, which is quite a common practice in MMA as well, which will lead into sort of like a form of dehydration. And so that's either like heat baths, you can do saunas, or like sauna, or like sweatsuits, or, you know, all those kind of options. Yeah, but it's all kind of really science based. But my second ever MMA fight, I did the biggest weight cut I'd ever done, and I did it all wrong, and I was not in very good shape.
Yeah, right.
Leading into that fight, it's still my favorite fight of all time. Yeah, so the beginning of fight camp, I was pretty much 80 kilos, so like 79 something, so pretty much 80 kilos. And in 8 weeks, I weighed into fight at 63.
Holy shit.
And like, I'm not a heavyweight, I'm not like 120 kilos, so 17 kilos isn't that much.
Yeah.
You're going from like 80 to 63 and you're not a gigantic human.
Yeah.
That one was rough, and it was all done wrong. And part of the reason too why like I did the last like 7 kilos in a day and a half, 2 days, the last 2 days, which is insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So part of the reason was a lot of things went wrong in the lead up to that fight, and I had injuries. I had bone bruising on the heel of one foot, and I'd like wrecked all the ligaments and tendons on the outside of my ankle on the other foot, playing touch footy, actually refereeing touch footy. So I was in a bad shape. Like, I couldn't really do much training, like being on my feet or even like cycling or rowing or whatever. Still puts a lot of pressure on your feet, so I couldn't do that, and I was trying to manage that so I could still fight. And then I was also trying to drop weight, but also having enough energy to get through the training sessions that I did need to do. And then essentially it was just a really long process of being really, 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 really dehydrated to make that weight.
Yep.
Because I didn't want to miss weight, and I looked like a drug addict pretty much.
Right.
Stepped on the scales because all my water was gone. I stopped producing saliva like
Holy
over
shit.
a day before the weigh-in. My mum had come down to visit me. Like, my cheeks were all like sucked in, and I was super skinny, and I was so dehydrated. I couldn't even chew chewing gum because I didn't have any saliva to chew it.
Jesus.
And it got to the point where like half an hour or an hour before weigh-ins, and my mum had travelled down to see me, and, you know, super frail and stuff. And she was talking to me, and I was trying to talk to her, and I was like, I can't have a conversation with you right now, because it was that bad that my like mouth, my lips, my gums were sticking to my teeth, and I like
couldn't talk
properly.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was really bad. I probably should have gone to hospital and been on like an IV drip. Like, that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And so the weigh-ins are 24 hours before the fight. I made the weight. I I then, all I had thought about for 2 months, for 8 weeks, was a burger and chips. And like, I waited for my food because we had like a press conferencey thing.
Yeah.
And I was smashing, as soon as I stepped up those scales, I was putting liquids back.
Yeah.
And I knew I had to get lots of liquids in before I could eat. And it was a couple of hours later, by the time, you know, that finished, we went to the food place, we ordered food, we got the food, and the whole time we were waiting, smashing liquids. So it'd been a few hours, and I still wasn't producing like the proper amount of saliva again yet.
Yeah.
So I picked up this chip on my plate, and I was so excited. I put it in my mouth, and like the potato just coated my mouth, and I couldn't swallow it.
Holy shit.
And I couldn't chew it. And I was like, I just about had, like, I sat there,
Yeah.
a bunch of my friends and my mom, and all I'd talked about was going to, and it was Grease Monkey
Yeah.
in Canberra.
Yeah.
And
Shout out.
thought about
Hit me up for sponsors.
Shout out to Grease Monkey.
Yeah.
That's actually the place I always go to whenever I fight Canberra, even now.
Yeah.
And I ate that chip, and I just about sat there and cried.
Yeah, because you
couldn't
couldn't.
eat.
Fuck.
And then everyone else had finished theirs. Yeah, mine went cold, and it was like another hour or 2 hours till it got to the point where I could eat then. And I ate. And then that night, so the night before the fight into the next morning, I didn't sleep. I set an alarm because I looked up like what to do when someone's super dehydrated. And I set an alarm for every hour because I realized it doesn't matter how much I drink, the body can only absorb
So much, yeah.
so much in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just pointless, and I'm potentially going to become like hyponatremic by drinking so much water and not replacing like your electrolytes.
Oh, yeah.
Sodium, potassium, magnesium, those things. So yeah, I set an alarm every hour to wake up and drink more liquid. And so I didn't sleep the night before the fight or the next day leading up to the fight because,
Jesus.
you know, you're getting ready, and that's the worst part. And so I felt like I had heat stroke, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
You felt like how Brian from the cigarette packet looks.
Yeah. I feel like I looked like Brian.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I looked so pale on Wayne's night.
That's one thing. At least Brian's got a nice tan.
So I don't. Yeah, see, I was like, I'm going to put on some makeup so I don't look so bad. So I put on makeup. But when you look at the photos of me from that Wayne's, I was like, I look at them, I was like, yeah, the makeup didn't work.
Jesus Christ.
And, yeah, so weight cutting is
Brutal.
way more scary, way more dangerous, and sucks than the fight. The fight's the fun part. So I went into that fight feeling like one of the worst feelings I've ever had. You know, I felt tired, I felt exhausted, I felt sick. Like, I felt like I was recovering from the flu while having heat stroke, while I hadn't eaten properly and that kind of stuff. Like, and 3-round war that one fight of the night. So even though everything went wrong and I actually lost that decision, and it was razor close, and
Yep.
in the last round, like, that round was mine, and I did so much damage to my opponent in that round. Like, it could have been stopped multiple times throughout that, but it was just so close, and she was so tough that every time I'd hit her with like a whole bunch of unanswered shots and the referee would go to step in, that she would just be like, nah, and throw something back. And then
Yeah.
you know, it was such a war.
Yeah, fuck.
So it taught me a lot, taught me never to cut weight like that again.
Yeah.
Proper advice, and seek professionals, and do things the right way.
Yep.
And that you don't have to take every fight, you know, or, you know, if you're injured, maybe consider pulling out. I'm so glad I did it though, because I learned a lot of lessons, and
Yep.
it was really tough, but I also put on one of the best performances that a lot of people know me for, and a lot of people remember, because I also ended up in a really bad situation in that fight where I definitely lost the second round, and people thought I was about to get finished. Like, she had a rear naked choke on me, and I got out of it, and people were like, oh, well, thought it was over, and then
Yeah, fuck.
come back and almost stop her multiple times in that last round, and like, it was a big deal, and it was, people still talk to me about that fight now, being like, I remember that fight, and it was amazing, and both of us got, I guess, a lot more well known because of that fight.
Yeah.
Because it was such war, and it was so back and forth across the rounds, and I got to learn what I'm capable of, and I also got to unlock a bit, I guess, in my brain of going, I don't care how tired you are, I don't care how hurt you are, I don't care what you're feeling, but you can do this and you can push through it, even when you feel like you're literally dying.
Yeah.
You can do those things. So that's also helped me a lot with mentality and training. So like on the days where you do like the hectic training, like power rounds or like crazy shark tanks and that kind of stuff, is that people be like, other people in the gym sometimes would be like, wow, you're really fit, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm dying on the inside, but also on the inside I'm screaming at myself going, you could do it 10 more reps. Like,
Yeah.
you can do it. You've done this before. So yeah, it was a crazy experience, and weight cutting is incredibly dangerous, so seek professionals and don't go through those things, because that's probably taken, it's definitely going to impact me later on in life, and it took me a long time to actually, for my body to properly recover
Yeah.
from that. I had some ongoing issues because of it, but now there's so many people out there. Like, one of the best people in the game that works with UFC fighters is here in Australia, which is the fight dietitian, and he works with, and his team work with heaps of combat athletes, as well as just other athletes and normal people that need help with nutrition. So
Yeah.
don't need to do silly things anymore.
I think that a lot of I like how much sort of science has brought into sports and fighting and just things in general. Like, we were talking about things like CTE in like American football and all that sort of shit. Well, I mean, it's everywhere, but that seems to get the greatest exposure because, it's a game of exposure when it comes to, like, more fans and bigger budgets and all that sort of shit. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's good to, like, that it has come, and there's people that are actually paying attention to that sort of shit. So yeah, that helps it come a long way. But you got time to get going, about another 15, or like 10?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Whatever.
I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm just going to tell. That's a little behind the scenes. You get to see behind the scenes of the fucking. This is the director's cut.
The extent.
Yeah, I've yeah, exactly. This is the one that pops up in the DVD menu when you've already watched the movie once.
That's it.
But yeah, so we're talking about different divisions, weight classes, different styles and all that sort of stuff. There's an ongoing debate at the moment whether or not trans fighters should fight in their transitioned class or division. Have you ever had any sort of experiences from your end that working in the field?
So I have pretty strong opinion on this, and the opinion is based on some facts around the human body and physiology and a strong competitive advantage that's there, but also from personal experience. So I have actually grappled against a trans person that was about 20 something kilos bigger than me, and yeah, that was actually my first ever grappling comp, and my first ever match. So
first ever?
It was a first ever.
Holy shit.
And so keep in mind, this was only a couple of years ago, so I had MMA fights.
Yep.
Prior to that. So most people who compete in grappling comps, though, in their first grappling comp, usually grappling BJJ is like their first thing. So a lot of people do it the opposite way to me. I've kind of done everything
back to front. Yeah.
Yeah, they do, like grappling and maybe some boxing and kickboxing and then do an MMA fight, whereas I was just like, oh, I trained, did an MMA fight and then did everything else later. They went, oh, I probably should do those things. So it was a sub-only comp.
Right.
And so with grappling comps, similar to all combat sports, that you do have weight divisions. The women's weight divisions, because there's less females, are a lot bigger range than men's generally. So where men's might have a division every 4-5 kilos, in some grappling comps, the women's are like every 10 kilo intervals, or like 8 or something like that. It depends what comp. So there's that, and then it gets to a certain weight and it's just that and above. And then on top of that, so that's obviously at your belt level. So you'd be white and all your different weight divisions, blue and all your different weight divisions, etc., etc.
Yep.
But then there's the option where comps either have one or the other, and some comps have both, where you have an open weight at whatever your belt division is. So if you're a white belt, you can compete in your weight division, but you can also compete in open weight, which is just everyone who's a white belt. So you can be 40 kilos and you can go up against someone who's 90 kilos if that's who they're competing on the day.
Yep.
There's also a division called absolute, which is all weights and all belt levels. So you could be a 40 kilo white belt going against a 90 kilo black belt, but it could also be the other way around, where, you know, you're a 40 kilo black belt going against a 90 kilo white belt, you know. So this was my first comp, sub only. They were 5-minute matches. However, I went in my division as well as the open weight, and the open weight was actually before weight division. So that because there was a cash prize for winning the open weight.
Yeah, right.
So because there's more on the line, and you're going to potentially be competing people of all different sizes.
Yeah.
Goes first.
Right. Okay.
And so the gold medal match for that division, because it was a cash prize, was no time limit.
Right.
So you had to win by sub. So there was 3 of us that nominated, and this is at white belt, to go in that division. So I magically got a bye, and it's the only bye I've ever had in any grappling comp. And so I made it straight through to the final.
Yep.
Which meant that my first ever match, and my first ever comp, was a no time limit match, and the trans athlete made it through. And
by beating their first opponent.
Our match went for 40 minutes. Yeah, they beat their first opponent.
Yep.
They've been in heaps of grappling comps.
Yeah.
By that stage, probably like 14 or so.
And did you see the first fight?
So, yeah, I seen them. Yeah, I watched it. It didn't go for very long.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So, again, this is my first comp, my first match, and I went in with the mentality of, like, because I had no, like, even when I was fighting, when I first started fighting, I didn't really do much grappling. And so it wasn't until I moved up to Newcastle that I actually started really grappling. So, that's probably why I didn't compete, because I didn't really do much of any of it.
Yeah.
And so first comp, first match, there would have been like a 20 or more, 20 something kilo difference, and our match went for 40 minutes. And there was a point in time, like, I got sort of like slammed into the ground pretty hard quite a few times, and I got slammed with like the shoulder into my face at one point as well, and I had a blood nose, and they had to stop the match and clean the mats.
Yeah.
And it was pretty crazy, but I went into it with the mentality of being my first comp. I don't want to get hurt to the point where I can't fight or anything like that. So you know, if I get caught in a sub or something, or if I'm unsure, I'm just going to tap. Like, I don't care about, you know, a medal at a local that bad.
Yeah.
You know, first few minutes I got like slammed and stuff, and this person just tried to like grab the top of my head and like twist it, and it wasn't even a submission. They didn't even have any
like grip, like proper stand, proper grip or anything.
They were just no, it wasn't a technique thing. It was just purely a strength thing, because they were so much stronger. And I grapple, like, my whole every gym I've ever been in has been like 99% guys.
Yeah.
And then even then, with the gyms that I've been at that have had any girls, generally they don't fight. So they just, casually train, and that's it. So I only train with guys.
Yeah.
I grapple guys every day, and a lot of guys are a lot bigger than me too. But I have grappled with girls, and obviously I compete regularly now, and I've competed a lot against all shapes and sizes and similar size females, natural females, and there is such a difference, and it is really scary. And if it wasn't for the fact that I had MMA fights, and I already have that mentality and I know what my body's capable of,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have gotten the same result that I did. I ended up winning that match.
Holy shit.
I won by rear naked choke. Yeah, I won by rear naked choke.
Jesus.
But it took me 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say 40 minutes is a fucking marathon.
And grappling's so different to like striking and stuff, because you're like tensing your muscles the whole time, trying to go for things and using and especially when someone's so much bigger than you too.
Yeah.
So I got there in the end, but honestly, it's only because, like I said, I'd had fight experience before and I knew what my body was capable of. But in the match, when my head got twisted, the top few vertebrae in my neck went pop, pop, pop. I got slammed heaps of times. My whole body hurt for weeks after, and I had to actually recover from that. I've never had that in any other match, even when I always go on the absolutes and open weights, and against a lot of girls a lot bigger than me, similar weight discrepancies, and I've never had that kind of thing happen. But regardless, my stance on it is that I'm happy for anyone to identify however they want to, and that's fine, and live the life that they want to. And I do think that anyone who is trans deserves the right to compete in the sport, and to be able to compete not only at a local level but professionally if they want to do so and pursue a career. My only problem is that because of the competitive advantage that they do have, I don't think it should be against naturally born females. They're happy for them to identify in their lives as a female. However, I don't think it's fair in any sport, whether it's combat or even individual, because there's a number of things it's going to, if they were to compete and continue to compete against females, even in individual sports, I know from doing a physical sport and training with men, that even the men my size, my height, my age, my weight are so much stronger than me. They're faster than me. They have better endurance. They have more fast twitch muscle fibers. They can jump higher, and they can literally breathe more oxygen into their blood than me. They can, their synapses are faster. They can react faster than me. So even if I've got the skills and the better technique at some point, they can train that and they're going to be better than me no matter what I do. And the most used performance enhancing drug in the world is testosterone and its derivatives, and that is using performance enhancing drugs is illegal because of the competitive advantage that it gives you. So not only the things that you're physically able to do, but also the ability to, because you can get more oxygen, because you've got a bigger heart, you've got bigger lungs, you've got more, muscle density and bone density and all these other things that are not going to be changed by no longer having testosterone. These things also mean you can train harder because you can recover faster. So it's not just physically being stronger, it's also these other things that you can train more than me, you can recover better than I can, and you can take more impact than I can, you can give out more impact than I can. But even in any sport, you're going to be better than I am without having to do anything extra. And so PEDs obviously are illegal, and my only issue is that a lot of people blame the transgender athletes for doing the wrong thing, which I also don't think is correct, because they're just doing what the system allows them to do at the moment. And so, for example, the transgender athlete in the Olympics,
Yep.
she hasn't done anything wrong in my eyes, because she's not the one that made that decision to allow her to compete against in the female division. That's the Olympic Committee, and I think their criteria for a transgender athlete competing in the female division is incorrect, and I don't think it should have anything to do with hormones, because the adaptations that you get from a life of testosterone don't go away.
Yeah.
Yes, some things will diminish a little bit, but they don't go away. And so it's exactly the same as using PEDs. So with them saying that, okay, well, if you take the hormone replacement therapy and you get within this certain limit of testosterone, then you're essentially a female. Well, that to me is the same as saying, well, you can take PEDs whenever you want and take extra testosterone, as long as when you come back to compete, your testosterone level is back down to
normal
standard that so that's conflicting, because they purposely test for out of competition PED use, because even if they use it in a cycle outside of competition, the adaptations are still there that
long-lasting effects.
Give them an unfair competitive advantage. So if it's illegal to use testosterone for performance enhancing or any other PED at all, for performance enhancing effects outside of competition, then it's the same basis that you get a competitive advantage that you can't change just by dropping or manipulating a hormone level. So that's where that comes into play. And what I think there needs to be is a division for these people, because they need to still have the right to be able to compete and do whatever they want to do in life. And that is fine. And if they want to compete at the highest level and they want to go to the Olympics and they want to, make money, I think that's fine. Create a division for them, because, okay, if they want to compete against men, that's fine, but I don't think they should have to. But I don't think it's fair to the female athlete that's trained her whole life and she will never, ever, ever be able to lift as much as a transgender athlete. She'll never be able to swim as fast or run as fast, and potentially get hurt in other sports as well. For example, in MMA, you look at the people that fought Fallon Fox, which was the first sort of transgender athlete on the scene a number of years ago, and some of them suffered career-ending injuries. And were never able to compete ever again. And that's not necessarily Fallon's problem. She was fighting within the rules. That is the system's problem for saying that that's okay. And so give them a division, let them compete. I don't care if the same person wins a gold medal 4 Olympics in a row. If they're the best in the pool of the people that are competing, then they've earned it. If they've put in the time and the effort, it doesn't diminish their efforts. But you can't take away, how are you going to explain to that female athlete that's worked their whole entire life to play on a certain team or be in the Olympics that doesn't get picked because of someone who has a competitive advantage, and explaining to them, you worked your whole life to not get picked, and not because they haven't done enough, it's that's my take on it.
No, absolutely. It's good to actually hear that take. And even from a spectator's perspective, I feel like even just as an audience member in that fight, I can't look past the fact that there's a trans fighter fighting a female. I can't just mentally say oh, this is an entertaining fight, because in the back of my mind I'm always just going to be no matter how I look at this, there's always that factor in the fight. I can't just put that aside and just be oh yeah, good fight. You know, I feel like no matter what the outcome of that fight is, I'm always going to have in the back of my mind that there was an unfair advantage.
It's not a level playing field.
Yeah, like whether the trans fighter wins or loses, I'm going to be like, that didn't seem like the same as watching. I wasn't focusing on the fight.
Yeah, and I don't think that, you know, I honestly don't think that when people are like, oh, well, you know, they can't bench press as much as they used to when they were a male, or they can't do this. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it more than a normal female can. Or the other argument being that, you know, oh, well, you know, that person, that particular one example, didn't win that division, or, you know, took some damage.
A born female.
Won. But you know, no. So like say a transgender athlete competing, if they don't win,
yeah,
they take some damage before they win. That's not an argument to say that it's okay, though. Oh, well, you know.
Yeah.
Like that to me is not. That's then saying, oh, well, every single person that's ever competed on PEDs, it's fine to use PEDs as long as you don't win by much.
I reckon. Picture this, right? Another category, trans fighters or people that are on PEDs. and then still being under.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, like that's still a whole nother thing as well. But like, I mean, whatever the terms are, it needs to be a level playing field.
Yeah, so, I think that's it.
I'm not saying trans fighters need to fight people on PEDs. I'm just saying, like, to me, it likens to the situation where the criteria at the moment, which is used in the Olympics, which is just purely hormone levels, and I'm just likening it to how they look at PEDs. I'm not saying that trans people are on PEDs, so I just want to say that. But I'm
throw me under the bus. I don't like. I'll I'll deal with any backlash. It's fine. It's like, I'm not saying like currently on PEDs. I mean anyone that was on PEDs that then was under that. Like now, it's like now that you have that advantage from being on PEDs, you can fight, but you have to be in this category of people that had high levels of testosterone at some point in their life.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that again is something that'd be so hard to monitor or look at, because like any one of my theories, it's not like it'd be so hard.
It's not thought out.
You're like going and getting bone density tests and like going, oh yep, you meet the criteria, you're in this new division.
Yeah, holy shit. And that's so back to the fight. Quickly, there was a point that I wanted to ask about that. How was the win received? Did you have any backlash, or like was there any like sour grapes or anything between you and the trans fighter? Or?
The grappling match. Well, a lot of it actually ended up getting filmed, which was pretty cool. So I've got some highlights from the match. But a lot of people started watching because it went for so long, and also it was like a David and Goliath looking thing. There was a lot of people around the outside actually watching. And so when I won, there was quite a few people that kind of cheered and stuff. Look, I'm just going to put a disclaimer out here that this particular person, I don't think represents that community very well. So I don't want this particular person and their actions towards me to seem like they represent the rest of the trans community. But this particular person was super lovely to me directly after the match on the day.
Yep.
Later on, they obviously followed me on social media and interacted with me a little bit and all that kind of stuff, and it was nice. And then later on, I got a lot of really nasty threats, which was super fun, and like how they were going to break all my fingers and
Jesus,
a few other things, and like they were sharing my post when I had a fight coming up, and tagging me, to sharing my post about the fight and tagging me in it. So I would have to see it about how I was going to get smashed by my opponent and all of these kind of things. So, I mean, initially received really well, super duper lovely, but I don't think overall it was received too well by them. But that particular person, as I said, I think has some of their own issues, and you know, I don't think they're actually allowed to compete in grappling comps anymore, because of some of the things that did happen at grappling comps, e.g. I was there and I was watching and I witnessed them bite someone in a grappling comp. So, you know, they're like I said, they're not a good representation, I think, of everyone else who is doing the right thing, who is trying to, you know, compete within the rule sets and, you know, just genuinely likes competing in whatever sport they have, and they want the right to do so, which I think is great. But yes, my personal opinion is also not swayed by that personal experience that I have, because I don't feel like that one person, you know, represents the majority.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
no, it's
very crazy times, very crazy experience.
And when was that? What? How many years ago?
But we got there. Oh, like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Not that long. Like beginning, not beginning, but early 2019.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah. So
You know, maybe like March or something.
And this was after, like, you'd been doing MMA for a while, and then and that's, like you said, your experiences in the, like, industry sort of prepared you a bit more for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's realistically, like, when I'm saying, like, I did get the win, and it was a no-time limit match, but it was a hell of a battle, and I was fighting essentially that entire 40 minutes. Like, it was
what a war.
Easy. Let me tell you that. So me saying that I won, there also would have been 40 other people that they had matched with before me, and every single one of them lost, and I had seen a lot of them get hurt, and not necessarily it wasn't. So some things with that particular person were intentional, but some of them weren't, and they, you know, some things were just the techniques and just the size and strength discrepancy. And especially like you see it when people do submissions. You know how easy it is in some submissions for someone to break an arm, for someone to, you know, put someone out, you know, for someone to hurt something, or, you know, tear something. You know, it is easy to do that. So easy for that to happen when there's a big discrepancy.
Yep.
Because, or at least when you're evenly matched, you can sort of feel that give and take. But like, if you're so much stronger than someone, and it's a comp, like, at the end of the day, you should be tapping. But like, the other issue is when you're a white belt and you're new, you don't 100% always know when you're going to need to tap.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not quick enough, or you don't realize, like, as a white belt, when you're new, you might not even realize that you're in a submission until you're in it. So that's where it can be really, really dangerous as well, especially with sports that are like combat related. You know, that risk is so much higher. And like I said, I won that match, but I had a lot of sort of injuries.
Yeah, a lot of recovery required after it.
A lot of sort of recovery and managing. Yeah, after that match, like, I've never, like, my neck has never been the same.
Yeah.
I have to get it cracked all the time. I get pressure headaches. Like, my neck, I've had issues with ever since that. So for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's one of those things I obviously try and do prehab and rehab and manage it and do all those things, you know, and that's part and parcel of life. But yeah, there was quite a few different parts of me that were very sore, that I had injuries on because of it, that I have not experienced against other people who are even heaps bigger than me, or even when I'm in the absolutes, where, like, I went in as a white belt, competing against purple and brown belts, and a lot of them were bigger than me as well and more skilled, and I never experienced what I experienced in that match.
That's insane. Like, it's such a it's such a like enlightening conversation to see it from your perspective. So it was really good that you're able to like chat about it from your point of view. And yeah, for me to be able to hear that, and then also for the listeners also to be able to hear the perspective, because I think a lot of the time people just sort of don't know the full story of people's experiences. They'll just sort of like know, and look, like there is obviously components like that I can't cover every part of a thing, and you can only talk about your experience, but at the same time it's just really good to hear it all. And I appreciate taking the extra time to talk about it.
Yeah, no, not a problem at all. And I guess that's why I wanted to say, look, this is my experience, but that doesn't change me thinking that people who want to compete in their transition state, I'm not saying that they shouldn't at all. And I think everyone deserves the right to do that. That's why I just wanted to, say, look, this is my experience. And although it was super crazy, and I'd say, it was pretty negative, really, especially even the experiences with being around in grappling and circles and comps after that had happened, but prior to then no longer being allowed to compete. Like, I watched people sign up and register for these events, and then that person would, and then all the females would go, no, and they'd all pull their registration. And that also meant that for a period of time, it was really hard to even get any matches because of that, and it just shut down. The comps in that area pretty much shut down all the women in white belt competing, which if you don't go and compete at white belt, they're not going to keep competing, and they're not going to go when they're a blue belt, and they're not going to go when they're a purple belt, and they're not going to go when they're brown or black. So it almost halted and stopped the women's divisions happening, because where they were getting 30, 40 people in the white belt divisions, they were getting like 4. And so then people would be like, oh, well, I'm not paying $80 or $100 to go on a comp and get one match, or potentially get hurt. So like, that's the other side of it, is that other people may end up going, well, no, I'm not going to put my body on the line, I'm not going to do it, if that's the case, and you may end up watching the decline of a certain division or a certain sport. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily it's going to happen, but I did witness that happening in this particular scenario as well. And you want the best for everyone involved, and you want all people to be able to have the opportunity to compete, and that's another reason why I think it should be separate, so both people have the equal ability and equal playing field to compete on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't want to run too far over time. I know, like, we sort of planned this to be within the time period, but I also don't want to just be like, oh, thanks for your story, all right, see ya. So and like your experience and shit, and for the listeners, like, you don't even understand the shit that I put Danielle through, like, to get to this point. She patiently waited. Like, I'm glad, as she mentioned earlier in the episode, that she's not actually a violent person, because I feel like if I've tested any, and I can attest to that, because if you had any anger issues, like, they would have just come out in the time I left you while I organized the ability to record this episode so that you can listen to this right now. So just like I said, because this is director's cut, I may as well give some people a little bit of information behind the curtain. But yeah, anyway, I guess that's why people are, like, shocked when they find out that I fight, if they don't know me from that part of my life. Yeah. Oh, before we wrap it up, like, I know that people might want to know this. I think it wasn't a question that I had sent.
Putting my charger.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so look at this. I'm just...
I'll just let you guys know.
Yeah, okay. See, that's a nice bulb there. Is that LED light you got on the roof there? I bet you got an app on your phone. You can control it, you know. Every now and then you just dim it, change the colour, that sort of shit. I got that in my room. I'm just projecting that onto you right now. But yeah, like, check this out. Look, see that light in the background?
Lose your train of thought.
No, look, see that light in the background, the tube?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just see if I can get it to go blue. That's what I need right now.
Oh, best colour.
Maybe that's like the mood lighting. I change it to blue.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Oh no, did I like not? I didn't do it. Okay, all right, fair enough. There you go. That's my. That's an accurate representation.
It's not a tech issue for you.
Hey, there we go. That's an accurate representation of exactly how great I am with tech issues. There we go. Hey, back to blue.
We got there in the end anyway.
Got there. And just like the light, look, what colour is it now?
Blue.
Yeah, that's right. So
we got there.
Yeah, it wasn't a question that was sent through, but I feel like it's a question that people listening to the episode might have. And just to like wrap it all up and close with this one, they might want to know like how we know each other. So I'll just.
Oh yeah, great question.
Yeah, so that's actually submitted by me. So. Pretty much, and people that listen to the episode, people that listen to the episode or know me probably know that I work at the basement, and there was a period of time there where Danielle worked there as well. And I think I'll share. I don't know if you remember this, but I'm going to share the first time I ever met you while you're working at the bar. So
go ahead, I can't wait.
Yeah, so me being a smart ass, right? So I come in, I'm not working this night, and I don't think we ever actually worked together. It was like more of like while you were there, I wasn't there sort of thing. Being a casual job, I've kind of been...
I think we did a couple of times. We worked together a few times.
Yeah. I think
initially in the beginning we're always on alternating shifts.
Right. Yeah. So it was kind of like you worked there, but we hadn't worked together for a while to begin with, sort of thing. So I've gone in there on a night off, and that's when I first seen you working behind the bar, and I don't know how the story was initiated. Maybe you're wearing like UFC hat or UFC something, and I just, and me being in there on a night off, you know, a couple drinks deep, I'm like, oh, you like UFC? And you're like, well, I actually compete, like I fight, like not obviously in UFC, but like I do MMA, yeah. And I pull out my phone and I'm just like, oh, I've got hardly any data left. So if you've got any fights online, make sure they're short, because like I've got like less than a gig. I need to like, and you're like, oh yeah, I've got this one here. It's like a 36-second fight or something like that, and I'm like, hey, perfect. So yeah, we pull that out. I watch it, and I'm just like looking at it, and I'm thinking, because I'm still trying to be like the happy drunk dude, but in the back of my mind, I'm just like, she's a fucking badass bitch right now. Like I don't even know how to like show how crazy it is that this, like what I just seen, this like 36-second fight or whatever. Yeah, so anyway, that's when I was just like, all right, well, my data rolls over at 12 o'clock, so if I'm still here, I'm just going to, like, I'll like, subscribe and watch some more shit. And I think that, like, it ends up being, like, a later night than I assumed it would be, as most nights off do. And, yeah, that's when, like, I first met you, and then we'd done a few shifts, like, later where I got to know you more, and, yeah, that's sort of the first... I mean, obviously, you, like you said, there's two sides to every story, but in my drunken night off, that's pretty much exactly how I remember it.
Oh, I had so many funny memories at the basement related to obviously working at the basement and like music and obviously fighting as well, because I'm part of the reason why Trent is such an avid MMA fan these days. He used to be a hardcore casual back in the day, and now I'm his personal MMA assistant. Whenever he has a MMA related question, he always sends it to me. So for you guys who don't know, Trent was our boss at the basement.
Yep.
Awesome guy, and the basement's awesome place. And yeah, I have so many cool random memories like that. I remember going into the basement on my night off one time, and I was sitting at the bar, and a very, very drunk patron came down and sat next to me. And he's sitting there, and then he's kind of looking at me, and he's like looking at my face.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're really pretty," and kind of looks me up and down, and then his expression changes. So it goes like this. It was kind of like, "You're really pretty, and you're really buff." It was like one of the funniest things I ever remember. And then he was kind of like, didn't know, and I was just like, "Thanks." And then he just didn't know what to say to me and got real awkward. I was like, cool. Lots of random funny things like that.
Oh, that's...
But then we finally got to have some shifts together, and I guess that's where we became sort of good friends
Yeah.
after that. So it was good times working at the basement, and obviously loving music and fighting, and you know, obviously some gaming in there as well. So
yeah, no, it's good stuff.
Over the basement.
Yeah, no, it's a mad plug for them. They kind of do already sponsor me by the by giving me a shift every now and then. Helps fund my podcast.
Yeah. I mean, they used to help fund my fight career when I was working there. So.
Yeah, that and the occasional like heavy tipper was kind of funds my shit as well. Being a bartender, you sort of become a bit of a hustler, like when it comes to tips. Like you kind of got to be like, yeah,
I guess so.
Like, and I've seen people tip
I don't
heavy.
know, it's a bit weird. Yeah, some people.
But it's never to me. It's always to like.
Really, I don't know.
Yeah, it's always to like the one of the other bartenders or whatever, you know. Like I'm like I've had people tip me not because I gave them more drinks, but because I cut some dickhead off.
Yeah.
Like I've had people just like,
Absolutely.
hey, thanks for.
People band together over things they don't like.
Yeah, exactly. Enemy of my enemy's my friend, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's it. I always feel weird about taking big tips. You know, just as a female, like, I don't know. I'm always kind of a bit weird about it.
Yeah, oh shit.
No, you keep your money, I don't want it. Because I just don't want people to be weird and be like, oh, well, I expect something and better service and something else, or, you know,
true.
Later, I'm like, no, fuck off.
Yeah. Oh, no, I did that.
Sorry.
I've been swearing this whole thing. This is the advantage of funding my own podcast. I don't have a network to fucking answer to. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're...
Sure.
I'm not going to pull myself aside and say, like, look, mate, really liked the previous episode and, like, you know, I'm a fan of the joke. But, like, some of the people around the network have sort of noticed there's a couple of, like, swear words in there that maybe, you know, might lose a few viewers. I know if you're listening, this is a shout out to my listeners. If you're listening to this right now and
Appreciate it.
yeah, and hello to like all the Danielle's listeners that will like be the majority of this fucking episode's listeners. Welcome to my domain. But yeah, also it's good to sort of not have to answer to like a network, and I think that's the advantage of podcasting and the advantage of being able to have our say, and that's also why like I have comedians on this show, but I also mix it up by having friends of mine on the show, people with a story to tell. Like I like to mix it up as much as I can, and not just sort of have sort of like other comedians, just because, like, to be fair, and if anyone's recognised this in episode,
Yeah, I'm really great at dad jokes. I'm pretty much a comedian.
You got it. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, me, being like, people that have listened to this episode will probably realize that for the first time in fucking ages, it wasn't two comedians fucking yelling over the top of each other to get a word in, and I actually shut my fucking mouth and let you tell multiple stories. So
Look at you go.
I know, it's all about progression. I think the blue light in the background's just really calmed me as a person, and like, I've had time to reflect on the episode.
Cool.
But yeah.
So when you're getting close to rage quitting from a game, you just need to switch to the blue light.
Yeah, exactly. I can nearly feel the soothing. Maybe blue, green, go for some cooler colours, that sort of thing. But I feel like no matter how I look at it, I'll always, while there's a webcam on, I'll see the red in my beard and remember that I've got that fire. It'd be like,
if you ever have a fight, you're going to have to be out of the red corner.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, let's wrap it up with that. I've been sort of, like I said, we dragged it out for a little bit, but it's all been excellent content. At no point in this I wanted to just be like, all right, let's like close it with that sort of thing, just because it just kept like flowing.
Like symphony.
Yeah. Yeah, it just played out so well. So yeah, thanks very much for coming on the show, and hey, next time you're in Canberra, maybe we could do one in person, just to
yeah, absolutely.
rehash on any more of the like things that have happened since this episode or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love that. Thank you so much for having me on. I have loved being on. Also, great to catch up. And even though you had IT problems, it's all good. I've had a great time, and it's been a great chat and some really good topics as well. And I just wanted to do a quick shout out to obviously all the people that follow me, all my supporters, friends, family, and all the businesses that I associate with and sponsor me as well. They allow me to do what I do. So I could just name them quickly. We've got Jolt Fightwear and Savage Fightwear and Cage and Canvas. We've got Victory Recovery Systems, and then I've got a few others that I work with, which is, Dirty Clean Eats, and because forget 9 to 5, there's some really cool businesses throughout Australia that I work with. There's also a really cool company in Newcastle called Drop Bear Coffee. So if you're looking for awesome coffee, you should hit them up as well. But yeah. So just thank you to everyone that follows me and is a part of my journey with me and, interacts with me on social media and that kind of stuff. You make this all worthwhile, and I love putting on a show for all you guys and entertaining everyone.
Perfect. Look at that. I was about to ask for plugs, and just like the questions, you covered it all off. But yeah, make sure you give Danielle a follow or subscribe or whatever, however you want to do it. What platforms you got out there that you want people to jump on?
Pretty much, if you search Drop Bear MMA on just about any platform, you'll find me. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like Snapchat. I've got like a Discord, I've got Twitch, just Drop Bear MMA for everything, and that's most of the time like discount codes for stuff as well. So if you are looking at getting some gear, or you like some of the businesses that I work with as well, just hit me up for like that kind of stuff and I'll hook you up.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome stuff. Hell, use that as a discount code anywhere. Just even if it doesn't work, just type in anywhere you go and it asks for a discount code. Try it out. I'm sure there'll be some...
Just tag me. Yeah, it's like the Hamish and Andy card. You just try it at any business.
Exactly. And I'm sure that out there somewhere there's some log file that some like web designer has to go through and see all the like tried tried codes that people have given a shot to, and they might look you up and then fuck, you got another follower out of it. So that's It's business.
Content.
But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thanks very much. And if you're listening to this episode, you already know my shit. Marky Worthington Comedy, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'm Marky Comedy on Twitter because Twitter won't let me write out my full last name. Because they're so in the future. Actually, if you have Twitter, follow me on fucking Twitter. I've got like 12 followers on Twitter, and they're like anyone that wants to look me up in the US where they use Twitter looks like I have 6 fucking followers. So make sure you follow the fuck out of that. But yeah, until next time, I'll fucking wrap it up and call it at that. Cheers.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Don't buy me a drink. Just name names.
Yeah, right. Big Tony, you'll get fucking thrown out.
The strip club with your floppy disk.
all day.
Make people feel shame for shit all day.
Don't blow
Turn
it.
it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right.